Congratulations! This is the Unit 4 video sequence, the fourth and final academic video in your study towards becoming a certified open water diver. When you've completed your academic studies and taken the open water final exam, you will have demonstrated the knowledge and skills necessary to make you a safe and informed diver. By mastering the skills learned in your confined water sessions and completing your 4 open water dives with your instructor, you will be certified as an open water diver. Your certification card is your passport to begin learning more about the underwater world. Relatively few of the world's population have experienced the excitement, thrills, and wonder of a marine environment. Diving will show you a very different way of looking at the world and your relationship to it. You will make many new friends and experience new and exciting things. Divers are special people. We have studied the effects of nitrogen under pressure on the human body in Unit 1. In Unit 4, you will learn some of the special circumstances, procedures, and safe diving rules for use with dive computers and dive tables. You will also learn of the importance of using a dive log and learn the ways that divers use a compass for underwater navigation. Divers use dive flags and floats to make others aware of their presence in the water. Floats are also used as a convenient place to store items on the surface while you're diving. We will learn more about this later in the video. Finally, we will review good health and safety practices for diving, and you will learn more about the continuing education programs available from your instructor and dive shop professionals that will add to and enrich your experiences as a diver. Let's learn first about diving computers and the safe diving rules that apply to them. You learned in Unit 1 that diving increases the absorption of nitrogen into the tissues of your body. These levels can rise to dangerous levels depending upon your depth and length of time or bottom time spent at depth. To keep the dissolved nitrogen within safe limits, you must understand what the limits are and what your body must do to rid itself of the excess nitrogen. Many years of study and practical application have led to the development of the modern dive tables and dive computers. The science behind dive tables is complex because the human body is complex and varies widely from person to person. Fortunately for us, the application of the science to an actual dive is easy and simple to understand. The U.S. Navy and others have established safe diving limits for the range of depths that a recreational diver can safely dive in. These limits are called no decompression limits, or NDLs for short. Each NDL is a time that cannot be safely exceeded for its corresponding depth. The deeper the depth, the shorter the time that can be spent there, so the NDL is smaller. If a NDL is exceeded, the diver cannot ascend directly to the surface safely and must spend time at one or more progressively shallower depths to give them time to get rid of the excess nitrogen. This process is called decompression. If the NDL limit is not exceeded, you can proceed directly to the surface from your dive in relative safety. Decompression diving requires specialized training and an expensive and complicated support structure. This type of diving is more in the realm of professional divers than recreational diving for sport. Open water divers must restrict their diving to no decompression diving for safety. This means that at any time in your dive you should be able to ascend directly to the surface without having to make a mandatory decompression stop. Dive tables are two-dimensional by nature. They are printed on a flat surface and only represent time and depth. Our bodies are much more complicated than that and cannot be accurately represented in a two-dimensional way. When you use a dive table to monitor what is happening in your body during a dive, limits have to be set. These limits are given in a set of rules that must be followed to keep you out of danger. Unfortunately for the recreational diver, the set limits have the overall effect of restricting your time underwater. Time that could otherwise be extended if a more accurate way of monitoring your body's net exposure to the effects of nitrogen over your complete dive profile were available. This is due to the fact that when using dive tables, you must assume that your entire dive was spent at the deepest point of your dive. This is called a square dive profile. Conveniently for us, technology has produced the dive computer. A dive computer is an electronic device that you take on a dive to estimate the take-up and elimination of nitrogen both during and after a dive. Recreational divers seldom dive square profiles. There are many interesting things to see and do, and depths will vary over the course of a dive, but start your dive at the deepest point and progressively move to shallower levels. When using a dive computer, you can take credit for time spent at the shallower levels. This will allow you to extend your bottom time beyond the NDL allowed by your dive table. Dive computers must still be used conservatively because they cannot measure the actual nitrogen that is absorbed into the different tissues in your body during a dive. They can do the next best thing, though. Dive computers do monitor the exact time and pressure that you're exposed to elevated nitrogen levels during your actual dive. They use this information to model in real time the take-up and elimination of an average person's nitrogen during your diving day. This allows you to track nitrogen in your body much more accurately than trying to do it manually with a dive table. Most modern dive computers also log your dive profiles so that you can go back several dives and review depths and times. Some computers have facilities for downloading the data to your personal computer at home to record your diving information. Dive computers can give you more freedom to enjoy your dives by relieving you from the need to make repetitive calculations based upon dive table data during your diving day. They also allow you to extend your bottom time because the computer can model your nitrogen levels more accurately than a dive table. You must use your dive computer conservatively because your own body is unique to you alone, and the computer model of an average diver cannot accurately reflect what is happening to you personally on any given dive or any given day. If you have any of the factors that make you more susceptible to decompression sickness, for safety, never dive your computer close to the limits that it allows. All dive computers have 3 basic modes of operation: planning mode, dive mode, and surface mode. The planning mode allows you to run prospective diving profiles on your computer before you actually make the dive. This is an especially useful tool if you have residual nitrogen in your body left over from a previous dive, since residual nitrogen subtracts from your maximum allowed bottom times, making the possible diving profile shorter than if you were starting with a fresh day. During dive mode, the computer continuously monitors your depths, dive time, and water temperature. The computer tries to model the uptake and elimination of nitrogen as closely as possible to the way that the human body would. Your body is made up of many different tissues, such as skin, muscle, connective tissue, bone, and blood. These different tissues all take up and give off nitrogen at different speeds. Since the computer does not have actual tissue, it models the different rates by setting up representative tissue compartments, each with a different take-up and elimination rate. Nitrogen levels are calculated many times a minute for multiple tissue compartments. Because these calculations are frequently made, the computer is able to model fairly closely the actual nitrogen levels within your body. When you arrive back at the surface, your dive computer goes into surface mode. Time spent between dives is called surface interval. During the surface interval, you will eliminate excess nitrogen by your normal breathing process. The computer estimates your declining residual nitrogen levels during the surface interval, upon which it can base the starting residual nitrogen level if you make another dive. There are many different manufacturers of dive computers, and they're all good. Various functions and features added to the basic functions make for differences in prices. Your dive store professional will be able to help you select the right one for you. You will want to look for the following minimum functionality: conservative bottom times based on recent decompression algorithms. The computer that allows the longest bottom time may not be the best one for you, especially if you have any of the factors that make you more susceptible to decompression sickness. An uncluttered display that is easy to read and interpret. You should be able to get the information that you need with a glance. Activation of the computer should be automatic after entering the water or starting your dive. Your basic display should have an easy-to-read depth gauge and remaining bottom time to the NDL. It should also have a graphical representation of your ascent rate. Recommended decompression stop depth and decompression time should be displayed if you inadvertently exceed the NDL. surface interval time and dive planner, a dive log function that stores multiple depth and time profiles. Let's cover some important points that you will want to observe when using your computer. Even though your computer is automatically activated when you begin your dive, manually activate it before you make your water entry and run the computer's self-test to make sure that it is working correctly. Monitor your computer frequently during your dive every few minutes and don't allow it to drag the bottom or bump into rocks. Your computer will be worthless to you if you don't use it or it stops working. During your ascent to the surface, hold the computer about chest level where your eyes can easily read the depth and ascent rate display. Chest level is where it can most accurately read depth. During your surface interval, you will want to dry your computer so that it will accurately begin calculating surface interval. Keep it away from direct exposure to the sun. Exposure to the sun can cause premature aging of the display. Many interesting dive sites can be found in the mountains at altitudes above 1,000 feet, 300 meters. Any diving done above this altitude is called altitude diving, and there are special rules and conditions that you must follow. The risk of decompression sickness is greater to you if you follow only the decompression guidelines that have been established for diving at sea level. When flying or driving to a dive site higher than 1,000 feet, 300 meters, it is just as though you have ascended from a dive because your body has saturated with nitrogen at sea level pressure, or the altitude that you started your trip from. You have to account for this residual nitrogen level before you make your first dive at altitude. If you can wait at least 12 hours after arriving to make your first dive, you can plan your first dive with no residual nitrogen. If your dive computer has an altitude diving function, it has most likely been programmed for diving at altitudes between 1,000 feet, 300 meters, and 10,000 feet, 3,000 meters. Always follow your computer manufacturer's recommendations for using your computer at altitude. Methods for activating the altitude function vary, and you must not use the computer for diving at altitude without first assuring that the altitude mode is activated. If your computer must be manually activated for altitude diving, be sure that you do it before you leave home. Here are some basic guidelines for using your dive computer safely. Make sure that you read and become thoroughly familiar with the computer manufacturer's recommendations for use before you make your first dive. Your computer won't be very helpful to you if you have set it up incorrectly or you have trouble interpreting the display. Make your deepest dive the first dive of the day, and always start your dive at the deepest part and move progressively shallower. Don't yo-yo or go shallow to deep, deep to shallow, shallow to deep. Don't exceed the maximum ascent rates given on your computer's display. Always dive conservatively. Don't push your computer to its limits. Don't use your computer to decompression dive. Decompression diving takes special training. Always make a safety decompression stop before going to the surface. Follow your computer's recommendations. Don't share a computer with a buddy because although you are diving together, your dive profiles are never exactly the same. Don't allow another to use your computer during a surface interval. If your computer stops working during a dive, end the dive with your buddy. Even though your buddy's computer may be working, you should ascend together for safety. Not following these simple rules and guidelines and the recommendations of your computer manufacturer may cause you to be injured unnecessarily. If you have flown into a dive destination for a vacation or holiday, you most likely will want to make maximum use of your time for diving. Getting into the cabin of an airplane after a dive is just like ascending from a dive, and the residual nitrogen in your body must be given time to be eliminated by respiration before you fly. Safe diving standards require that you wait at least 12 hours between your last dive and flying or driving over a mountain pass at altitudes greater than 1,000 feet, 300 meters. If you have made repetitive dives or logged multiple dives over several diving days, it is best to be even more conservative by waiting 24 hours or more. Dive tables are based upon data and criteria developed by the United States Navy for its use in its military programs. Further refinements for recreational divers have been made using modern Doppler technology. Scientists have been able to track small microbubbles in a diver's bloodstream after a dive by using Doppler equipment to measure size and duration. These micro bubbles do not seem to cause problems until they grow to a larger size. By using this technique, a more conservative table for recreational scuba has been developed by the U.S. Navy Doppler table. This is the data upon which your dive table is built. Even though you are diving with a dive computer, it is important to know and understand the use of your dive table. Dive computers are made to be very durable and reliable, but they can run low on battery power or be subject to failure like any other piece of electronic equipment. You may have spent a lot of time or money in getting to know your dive site. Knowing and understanding the use of your dive table can prevent the loss of a diving day if your computer fails. Use your dive table together with your dive computer and dive log to track your day's dive profiles. By keeping an accurate account of your underwater time and depths during the day with your dive table and logging this data in your dive log, you will have an easy reference to fall back on in case you can no longer use your computer. Dive table use is best learned by hands-on repetition. Your instructor will teach you how to use the table accurately and efficiently. It is up to you to use it regularly and keep these skills current. Dive logbooks serve divers in important ways. This course requires you to log all your instructional open water dives together with your instructor. Some of the things that you will find the dive logbooks useful for are recording and verifying experience level. Most dive operators will require you to show proof of experience when you want to go on a dive. Experience that has special requirements, a night dive, a drift dive, or other exciting things. Your signed logbook showing previous experience or instruction will do that. Keeping important or memorable information about your dives. As your diving experience grows, you will improve upon your skills. By logging important criteria such as beginning and ending tank pressures, you will see trends which will be helpful in identifying things you might want to improve. It can also be fun to write about things of interest that you observed on your dives or places that you may want to revisit someday. Saving reference information about an appealing dive site such as compass coordinates, water temperature and visibility, depth, information about currents, tides, and what to see and what to do. Demonstrating pride in your diving accomplishments. Keep your logbook close at hand with your diving equipment and ready for use. Making log keeping an active part of your diving experience will be both fun and rewarding. Compass navigation skills are important to divers of all levels. With a compass, you can find your way back to your exit point or boat, and you can more easily locate an interesting dive site when you are given the compass coordinates. Dive compasses are filled with liquid to dampen the compass's swing and make the needle steadier. It is important to remember to hold the compass level so that your compass gives an accurate reading. There are 3 types of compasses that divers use for navigation: a direct reading compass, an indirect reading compass, and an electronic compass. Let's talk about the parts of a direct reading diving compass. A compass has a needle that always points to the Earth's magnetic north. You will use that property to assist you in setting your direction to a point of interest called a compass heading. Your direct reading diving compass also has a center line called a lubber line that you will use to align with your direction of travel, and it will have an outer ring or movable bezel with an index mark and numbers or points of the compass around the outside edge. Hold the compass level so that the lubber line points in the direction of travel. Move the bezel so that the index marks north or the 0-degree mark aligns with the needle. The lubber line is now aligned with a number on the compass's bezel. That number gives you your compass heading in degrees. When navigating a straight line heading, keep the needle pointing to the 0-degree mark or index. This will keep you moving along your heading and toward your destination. If you drift slightly from your heading, change your direction of travel until the needle again points to the index. The indirect reading compass works much the same way as the direct reading, except that the compass point numbers around the edge of the bezel are not movable. Orient the lubber line so that it is pointed in the direction that you wish to travel. The compass needle will now point to your compass heading that can be read in degrees from the bezel. The indirect reading compass has a movable index mark. Align the index mark with the compass needle. When navigating a straight line heading, keep the needle centered within the compass index mark. To navigate back in the direction that you have come from, use the reciprocal heading. Reciprocal headings are 180 degrees in the opposite direction. Move your index marks to the exact opposite side of the compass from your original heading. This will be exactly 180 degrees different. Turn around until the magnetic needle aligns with the new position of the index marks. Keep the compass needle within the index marks as you swim the reciprocal course. Your compass may also have a side window that lets you read your heading directly from the compass card. The compass card is actually a floating platform that the needle is mounted to and swings with the movement of the needle. You use this compass feature by looking through the side window in the direction of your travel. Keep your course heading aligned within the center of the side window. There is much that can be learned about compass navigation that can make your underwater experiences more fun and fulfilling. Great confidence comes as your skills as an underwater navigator improve. Your instructor and dive shop can give you additional training in underwater navigation in the Advanced Open Water course or the Underwater Navigation Specialty. Get the details from your dive store professionals. Others may also use diving sites for non-diving activities such as boating, water skiing, or fishing. It is very difficult or impossible for boaters to see divers when they are underwater. Dive flags flying from your dive boat or float is an important way of making your presence known to others in your diving area. There are two types of dive flags in use today. The well-known diver's flag, a red rectangle with a white diagonal stripe, and the alpha pennant. The dive flag should be mounted at least 3 feet above the surface of the water on a float or on your dive boat and be visible from at least 100 yards. You must remain within 100 feet of your dive flag. Boaters are required to stay and it is your responsibility to learn and observe them at your dive site. Dive floats are very useful. Not only are they a handy place to place a dive flag, but they can be used to store accessory equipment at the surface while you are diving below. They also provide a convenient way of attaching and running a descent-ascent line from the surface to the bottom. When towing a float to and from the dive site, take care to avoid entanglement in the tow line. Don't attach the tow line to your BCD or U. Use a reel to take up slack line if needed. Let's review some good health and safety practices for diving. Your instructor and dive store will require you to understand these safe diving practices and sign an acknowledgement that you are aware of them prior to your certification as an open water diver. Recreational sport and scuba diving is an activity that can be enjoyed by people of all ages for fun and enjoyment. You will have more fun if you keep yourself physically and mentally fit and eat and drink the right things to maintain good health. You will want to dive often to develop and maintain good diving skills, but, as with other leisure activities, only dive when you feel well. Make and maintain a good relationship with diving professionals at your local dive shop. They have many dive trips and excursions planned throughout the year, and a close association will provide you with opportunities to make new friends and experience a wide range of diving activities. Only engage in diving activities that are consistent with your training and experience. Keep active in continuing education programs for diving to enhance your skills and broaden your experience. If you haven't dived for a while, the professionals at your dive shop can arrange for a refresher course to polish your skills before your next dive excursion. If you are not familiar with a new dive site, get a local orientation from a professional instructor or dive master that is familiar with the area before diving. Plan your dives beforehand with your buddy for maximum enjoyment. Have a common goal together for the dives, such as exploration or photo taking. Inspect your equipment for proper fit and function prior to leaving for the dive site. Get a weather update for the dive site and monitor conditions once you arrive. Adverse weather conditions can sometimes create dangerous situations. If the weather deteriorates, be prepared to select an alternative dive site, an alternative activity, or dive another day. Don't dive the same day after drinking alcoholic beverages of any type and in any quantity, and refrain from drinking immediately after a dive since alcohol can affect the way your body eliminates excess nitrogen. You should also avoid medications and drugs before diving. If you're taking medication prescribed by your doctor, check with him or her about the possible side effects before diving. Have a physical examination from a qualified medical doctor at least every 2 years to make sure that there are no problems developing that may be incompatible with recreational diving. If there are any medical conditions that require attention, get clearance from your doctor before resuming your diving activities. The use of scuba equipment requires training by a professional instructor for proper use. Failure to get this training can be dangerous if someone uses the equipment without that training. Don't lend your equipment to non-divers, and don't attempt to train someone in its use yourself. Instead, refer them to your diving professionals where they can learn to dive safely. As an open water certified diver, you will want to carefully monitor your depth and time underwater. Limit maximum depths and times to your level of training. Always dive conservatively. Ascend from all of your dives at a rate no greater than 30 feet or 9 meters per minute. If you are using a dive computer, follow the ascent rates determined by the computer. By observing these practices, you will be a safe and healthy diver able to enjoy fully the wonders and fun of the aquatic environment. Recreational diving is fun diving. Let's discuss some special concerns for women divers. If you want to dive while you are menstruating, there's no reason not to. Don't dive if you're pregnant. There is too little data on the effects of pressure and elevated nitrogen levels on the developing fetus at present to risk injury to your baby. If you are attempting to get pregnant, or you know that you are pregnant, discontinue your diving activities until your doctor tells you that you can resume diving. If you are concerned that you may have been diving while pregnant before you were aware of it, there is little cause for worry, but make sure your doctor is aware of it. We have come to the end of the fourth and final unit of the Team Scuba Open Water Diver video. When you complete your confined water training, taken the final exam, and have made your 4 open water dives with your instructor, you will be a certified open water diver with the best training available in the world today. After you have completed your open water training, you will want to gain experience and new skills and affiliate yourself with other divers with common interests and training level. Continuing education programs are available from your instructor that will prepare you to fully enjoy all your special underwater interests. Your next step in underwater training will be to take the Advanced Open Water Diver Training Course, or one of the many specialty diver courses available from your instructor and dive shop. The Advanced Open Water Diver program consists of training in 3 basic core areas: navigation, night, and deep diving. You will also select at least 2 other specialties to include in your Advanced Open Water program, like boat diving, underwater naturalist, altitude, underwater hunter, photography, and many others. As you gain diving proficiency, you will want to advance your training as a rescue diver. The basic rescue diver course will teach you the skills necessary to assist others if a diving emergency situation should develop. Your instructor and dive shop can give you detailed information on the times and places that their continuing education programs are taught. Talk to them about it today.